Hello, everyone, and welcome to Optimize et al. With myself, Betul Jabor. And joining me today is Carlos Enriquez. How are you, Carlos?
Just fine, thank you. I noticed the extensive hours we practiced the name just paid up. No,
Did
I'm
it
joking.
really? Did it really?
I'm joking. No.
Are you being polite now?
No. You
Mm,
did it perfectly. It's completely perfect. I mean, with that accent, you can move to Spain now. It's completely okay.
Thank you very much. Well, it's next on my list. I do need to visit it. I do need. But yeah, no, thank you very much, Carlos, for joining me today. Just for our listeners today, this podcast, we talk about all sorts of things. We talk about construction, architecture, built environment, AI, everything, as long as we talk about technology in there somewhere. And Carlos, I met in a Naviate user group back in September 2024, where you inspired the room, no matter which room we was in, and we moved across different rooms in architecture, in common rooms, in the breakout rooms, etc. And there was a lot that we spoke about, either together or with the groups, and that inspired, I think. And you seem to capture the audience with your energy that you have. And so I thought, right, we need to get you on a podcast. We need to get that inspiration and that energy across to the world. And here you are today, Carlos. Can you please give us an introduction about who you are, what you do, and what inspires you in your day to day?
Well, my name is Carlos. I'm an architect, member of the Norwegian Architects Association. At the moment, I am a curriculum manager for the Nurhof Technical School in the Building Information Modeling and Technical Design line. So that's basically what I do. On the topic of what motivates me, that's a very interesting question. I generally in my work, specifically in my work as a teacher, I kind of like um, helping people come across or learn useful skills. That's the one thing that I like my students to have. I always keep telling them, you doesn't matter if you like me or not, if you understand what I said fully or not. I need you that at the end of the lessons you have some knowledge with you, because I take it like that's a bit like a responsibility to me to have a lot of
Yes.
people that they're interested in upskilling or coming from different backgrounds. We're a private school, so to me it's very important, the fact that they get something out of our education.
What age group are we talking about with the school that you work with?
It's very broad. I can get anything from because according to the Norwegian system, I can get anything from high school graduates, so people that have nothing to do with the construction industry, and we also have a group that comes from for upskilling. So they
Right.
take our courses to upskill. There are people that have, in one way or another, fall out of the trend, so now they need to come back in, which makes it a bit more exciting and challenging, because then we have to find a material that fits accurately both groups without
Yeah.
making one feel abandoned.
See, that's one of the first things about teaching or training, and you said it yourself, is about the responsibility that you have for them to learn. Back in the day, I started training Revit, for example, with my employer, and when I was training, I spoke at the time with a lecturer, and he said to me, "You have a big responsibility to know whether or not by the end of those 2 days or 3 days that person has actually picked up the information. You don't just kind of, say something and expect them to understand it. You have to make sure that they absorb that information, because this, at the end of the day, this is their bread and butter. This is where they're going to go and find a job and, be able to support their families, and for generations to come. Who knows?
That's
But this is a huge responsibility. How did you go to then, once you realize this is a responsibility and they need to understand, what do you do then when, someone doesn't quite grasp the information? How can you get by that challenge?
well, I try again. Normally, we have because we're a clean net study. So when my students request assistance, normally I go as long as I need to. I create another video, something to explain them a bit better, and I try to find out a little bit what is it that you missed out. Sometimes I
Yes.
realize is the resource is not completely clear. Sometimes it's just a quick explanation, and sometimes it's just lack of experience, because then they don't have the parameter of the industry to come correctly into into the ball. But that's part of the trade, I think. It's not as easy as I had thought when I started teaching. I have to say.
Yes. Yes. What made you go into teaching though? Because it's a market, I'd say it's a market that not many people can do. It's like, oh, how can you teach someone how to do something? You know, how did you come? I mean, you fit naturally into it, but how?
It was actually out of I wouldn't say random, but I got the construction industry in Norway was not doing so well, and in the region in
Mhm.
which I was living, it was the tendency was it would get a bit more difficult, and even my bosses, even though they're fantastic people and they trained me since day one, they said, listen, we believe that if you want to find another opportunity, then just by all means just find whatever fits. And at that time, the school was looking for a responsible in BIM to develop a course. And I called 11 minutes, I think, after the advertisement was posted. It was
Wow.
completely random. It was lunch. I was just scrolling,
Yeah.
let's scrolling, and I saw it. And then I applied, and it's been up since I started, because there's a there's a lack of teachers in Norway at the moment, and I think it's a global issue. There's not many people trying to teach, which is
Yes.
why I got into this actually.
Yeah. More people are kind of going to their specialized areas than what they might have done before. But, you know, teaching is such a rewarding job and, you know, it takes up a lot of time. And the way that you teach as well is different from the way that others teach. So tell us a bit more about how and why the decisions were made to go virtual, do things online rather than the traditional classroom.
That's a bit of an interesting question, because our school is Nurov, a school of technology and media. So we always been really at the forefront of technology implementation and stuff. And my line, this was a decision taken before my time. My line was teaching Revit actually online, and of course this is done because in Norway the offers to upskill are not very optimal. So that's where it
Mm.
started, as far as I'm concerned. And then when I went into the whole education thing, I kind of fitted in the mission, because when I was younger, and I do remember this, I participated in a lot of online courses in all sorts of platforms. So I learned to see online education as a way to upskill yourself, to help yourself come over. And of course, the demands and the prices tend to be slightly less, but not the quality if you know where you're going.
Hmm.
And then you, of course, can really pretty much learn anything online. So that's been my experience. And now that I sit on the other side, I kind of like it a lot. I kind of like it. We get generally very good feedback from my students. They see that we care a lot. The
Yes.
department has been completely revamped since I started, and our students are responding great. We have teach Forma, we have gone in advanced Revit users, we have got into Dynamo, we got you as Samarbeids partner, industry partners, it's in English, and we also have Afri, which is a very big global consultancy working with us. So it's a fantastic position to be in. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever learned as much as I did nowadays.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, it's fun that you say that. As a teacher, you're learning as well. You know, it's not just the students. It's when you stop learning, that's when you realize I need to do something to kind of challenge myself, set new goals to grow and things like that. So also, aside from your teaching, you're actually writing two books. I mean, you're already a content editor because you do a lot of content for your students, but how two books? Why not start with one? You know, where did
Well,
this come from?
it ends up in which I'm writing one at a time, but
Okay, good, good, good. You need to concentrate your energy, you know?
but,
You need to
yes,
have,
but
yeah,
it's mostly
yeah.
because of where we are in the year, and it was actually because it's about two different topics. My students are exploring a lot of AI, so we're looking a lot of practical applications of AI in the industry, and I realized that my experience with my students, it's useful. So I decided to gather these experiences and produce something that can help others, which is why I got into this one. And on the other end, which is I tend to have too many projects, and on the other end, it's that the school sent a series of teachers to a training in pedagogy, And I have a very good friend which also teaches online. He teaches computational sciences, and we started discussing this whole generational shift. How is it that young people are learning? How is it
Yes.
that, because we see challenges, what's the best way to teach them? What's the best way to incentivize them? What's the best way to learn through? And I also think in that particular area, I also have something to say, especially now that I am basically taking a course inside the university, because this is a university level course. So I figured it was okay to, have the possibility to change ideas
Yeah.
with people that know a lot more than me. But it has gotten into a bit of a passion project. I don't think I spent so much energy on a course before. I've been reading like crazy. By the way, you have the one of the authors, or the main authors in net education, is in the UK.
Right.
Yeah, it's Gilly Salmon. It's an authority
Mm.
in the whole
Hmm.
sphere. It goes
Brilliant.
about it's fantastic, and her books are also very interesting because it shows it helps people that develop online. How can you make content more accessible? It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
And that's the key, isn't it? Is accessible. I mean, in this generational shift, and it's probably, part of your content of the book, but you notice that people bookshops, I just saw a notification yesterday that bookshop one of the famous bookshops in the UK is setting to close down a lot of its stores.
Mm.
And I think, back in the day when I needed a book for school or something like that, I would have to go to this particular bookshop to
Mm.
buy it because that's the only place you can buy it. Now, where are we going to buy it from? There's all online and things like that. I understand, but
Everything online.
shops are turning into warehouses instead, and you kind of pick online and everything.
Mm.
But
Mm.
that
Mm.
experience of you're writing a book. Is this book virtual? Is this book paper book? Is it a mixture of both? Do you have to change your market there as well?
That's a good
Who's going
question,
to read it? Is there an
because
audiobook?
well, everyone likes audiobooks. Audiobooks is the next thing. But in Norway, actually, the trend is the opposite. Norwegians tend to buy a lot of physical books. So
Yeah, exciting.
yeah, so it has to do a bit more with the market, but I don't think books will go away that easily. I sometimes prefer to have a written book when I'm going on the bus, when I'm going around. I prefer to not depend on my battery, though I have a
Yes.
Kindle. So I have both, but I don't have any particular inkling regarding to those. I just think that information is either valuable or it isn't, and if it is online, then it's more accessible to a broader market. You never know who's going to find what you say important, and if
Yes.
it's local, there's still plenty of. It's gonna take some years for books to disappear in a way, though the trend is what you say, of course.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. I mean, we're looking at a target audience of young people who are interested in a particular topic, interested to see how they can leverage AI into their daily workings, and we can easily talk about how a lot of people think that AI is going to be replacing their jobs. Is this something that you address within your book, or are you talking about the practicalities of it?
We spoke about this before, and it's certainly something that goes as a general idea encompassing, because I never teach my students that AI is going to replace people. I don't believe in that for a second.
Does it
And
replace the skills though?
it will create, in my opinion, it will create a series of a skill gap. It is going to create professionals that can use AI properly, that will have access to more resources faster, that will be able to summarize faster, because I wrote a little bit in my blog about it for some weeks ago, which is that I believe that AI tools are basically super summarizing tools. So the only
Yes.
thing it does is summarize, 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 summarize. And of course, as a professional, you need to be able to get into these snippets of information as fast as you can. But no one is going to take the liability tied to a construction building. No, in fact, OpenAI, if you use ChatGTP, it's right down below. Remember that ChatGTP can make mistakes, which is a bit of a responsibility
Hmm.
push, because
Hmm.
they cannot. There's no. It's not. a profitable model to have the liability of a 5-foot story because you have a five floors story just because you wanted to save on an architect. So I think that, but it will set a lot of pressure on professionals to upskill in the specific things that make you an architect.
Mm-hmm.
It will put you in a position where you will have to know where this information is even better than the AI model, because then you become a super quality control, and the speed at which you're going to update your knowledge, if you know how to use it, is going to be outstanding. And it's going to, in my opinion, it's going to create a rift that's going to be very visible. There's this book called The Singularity. I don't remember the author. The Technological Singularity. And it speaks about artificial general intelligence, which is something people used to talk a lot, which is basically robots, human robots with human capacities. And he exposes this topic, he expresses this concept called intelligence explosion, which is that the moment we reach robots that can think as humans, then they're going to think further than us. I don't think that's going to be like that in our lifetime, but I think that there's a sort of explosion happening in professionals at the moment. Professionals that can use it will upskill in a fantastically fast way, a lot faster than other people, which is going to put a lot of pressure in schools, in academia, in upskilling. But the fear is real. But I don't think it's true. I think it obeys mostly not crypto, AI hype in a way. It obeys AI hype, and we have started to see the signs that AI in some instances can be a hype, because no one in its right mind, you wouldn't give your diagnosis to ChatGTP. You need a doctor that has actually studied what you have. And I would not give my plans to ChatGTP to create, because there's, how do you know if they're in regulation? How do you know if they're going to be okay? And it will probably also lead to a lot of irresponsible uses. We're going to a charlatan era in a way. We're going to see people speaking with full authority of things that they might not have the right knowledge of in every field. Engineers that are not engineers just because they believe ChatGPT, and it's going to go fine until we get, and we spoke about this before, until we get a hallucination. A hallucination, which is a technical term for when the AI model misinterprets the information that it receives. And
Yes.
the moment that a big project, because of a bad actor, ends up in the news, then the whole thing's going to change. With rightfully so, because we cannot pretend that we're going to replace humans. It's just, to me, it's not feasible.
Yes, yes, indeed. It's, we try to include AI in a number of things in our lives now, and you'd notice maybe push notifications coming through to say, oh, this app now has AI integration, and some of them are really nice to have. But as you say, we're summarizing. And I suppose that's the laborious part of a lot of jobs, a lot of courseworks, a lot of, homework that we have to do is a lot of reading and in order to get to that summary, and ChatGPT might be doing that. But in the case where ChatGPT or our AI products out there are scanning the wrong information, you are getting the wrong information back.
Exactly.
And that's the part where, I done a podcast with someone just as the whole kind of AI term has come out, and it's like, oh, it'll only say take a number of students, they all have the same coursework, they put it all into ChatGPT, except for the one student who then puts analysis onto it. So they analyze what it said and then put their own take on it. It's the rest of the students that will suffer, the ones who are just sending it through but not absorbing as much of what they're doing. Let's take it to the next step then, where you have students and you give them homework to do, or you give them a task to do. Have you kind of picked out, and you don't name any names here, of course, but have you picked out any that you think, this looks so similar to another one, or this just looks so like AI?
All the time,
All
which
the
is
time.
which
Such a
is
shame.
I mean, you at some point you have to give up on it. I mean, it's I don't. I mean, they're doing themselves a disservice, and it's quite fun that you mention it because next week we're organizing a workshop in school where we're going
Brilliant.
to speak about the ethical uses of AI and the responsibility that befalls on them as actors if they are not careful when they use it. Because we see that as well. And one of my leaders was telling me the students really think that we don't know that they're using it.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really have an issue. It's a bad comparison probably, but imagine that you're in a relationship and you go around thinking that you're being cheated on all the time. That's
Yes.
hardly going to
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
So I expect some of my students are going to be less moral,
Yeah.
and that's where I come in
Hmm.
because I need to make certain that they know that if they go to a job interview, that they will be asked what they have produced. And if
Hmm.
you use ChatGTP, it's going to be fantastic, but it's not going to
Yeah.
answer for you. You're never going to
Yes.
get the job. You're never
Yes.
going to get to the next step, and then you're just going to be wasting everybody's time.
Do you know
And
that really hits the spot? I think because a lot of people utilizing AI services to do work online to be able to do I don't know maybe beef up their content if that's a word. When it comes to having to speak about it, present about it, get questioned on a panel about it, how are you going to answer? That really does hit
and
the
that's not
mark
going
there.
to change because and that's the limit because it's never going to change. To
Hmm.
begin with, ChatGPT is filled with gaps. And I mean, I know we mentioned ChatGPT. I'm a subscriber so that I don't get roasted by OpenAI online. Uh, but I use basically, and this is not an endorsement. I use Cloud Copilot and ChatGPT a lot, and I noticed that, which is the program is not going to do your job. You need to know, and this is my concern with my students. But again, I see it as a generational thing. This technology is quite new. We're going to see that until someone screws up real badly, because unfortunately that's what happens, and then the whole thing's going to change. But I'm not against technology. I in fact love it. It's I use it all the time. I what should I make for dinner today?
Yes,
It's
yes.
incredibly.
It's like having a PA, you can almost I mean that there are a lot of benefits to it, there's okay, yeah, summarize this email or have a look at this or what can I get out of this or what are my tasks to do at the end of a certain meeting even. There's a lot of really cool, exciting stuff that we can do, but AI is a really, really big topic, and to break it down, how do not customers, how do your students feel when you give them a topic that they have to talk about and present to you in the virtual world? Because do they present to you online or do they come into the school?
No, they don't. In fact, but they do send us reports, and they send a lot of reports because the whole advantage of our programs is that we're there in the background, but we don't force people to be with us out of different reasons. It could be that they just had a family. It can be that they want to focus in the day. They want to work on stuff like that. And it would be very difficult to get teachers to work at night on that.
Yeah.
But what we are doing nowadays is, and I did that with one of my students, brilliant guy. He's fantastically good at using AI technology, but I think that he needed a bit of tweaking, which is why I simply referred and said, listen, make a note, personal note, say, I think I do. And that's the end of it. Again, I don't concern a lot about the cheating students. I mean, obviously, I know they exist, and it's not like I'm blasé about it, but I don't I don't want to go into that mechanic in which I consistently feel that my students are not doing their job,
Yes.
and ultimately is yeah, is part of what they have to do. I have to trust that they're going to make good choices, and the only thing I can do. It sounds a bit defeatist when I say it like that, but it isn't. I choose to trust my students.
Yes. And that's the best way. If you look back into a working environment, when the manager trusts the employee, to work on their task, they trust them to do that. And that's
Mhm.
what builds up the really good working environment, rather than, oh, I don't trust, and then you're constantly on the head, almost micromanaging. So I really respect you for that part of it, for looking at that with your students and giving them the leeway. And okay, they might have done it once, but this is your chance to kind of come out of that, like you say, mechanic, and start to do something for yourself. But you can use your PA AI as something to give you ideas, to inspire you, to give you something else to kind of look at.
Hmm.
So, we spoke about AI, we spoke about architecture. Tell us a bit more about, I'm really fascinated to know about the practical applications of trying to write your book for next year, because you have said to me that you want to do it by next summer, which is summer 2025. How do you feel about that? Do you think you're kind of on the line for it?
I am on the line. I think I without going too much into detail, is keeping me interesting for the second
I
interview.
know.
I actually have been gathering the information of my students. Of course, I use AI for grammar check because I
Yes,
English is not my native language. So
very, very good.
thank you, but I utilize it to grammar check and to generate some ideas. But I don't copy paste ideas.
Hmm.
I normally check that they make sense. And a couple of tips for your audience. I use particularly two means of control. The first one I like to call vertical control, which unfortunately, if you have active the memory function in ChatGPT, you might lose a little bit of it. And in this one, you ask a question and then repeatedly ask the question again and again and again and again on new conversations. If your answer is within a degree of truth, then you're going to get similar answers.
Yes.
If it's not hallucinating, if it's hallucinating, then you're going to get different things.
Yeah.
So that's one quality control. The other one is horizontal control. You take different models, and it's usually why I have three at all times available, and I ask one question, and I repeat the exact same question, same phrasing, same way, same tone, same everything across the whole board, and that, for example, helps to keep you a little bit safer, because you don't know if one model is making things up, but it's
Hmm.
unlikely that three are making things up.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. So, in terms of, I mean, you mentioned hallucinating previously on the podcast, but hallucinating is in it's it it kind of wants you to think that that's correct. Is that how?
Oh, no, it's how the program is coded.
Mm,
Basically, and this is a bit more programming area, so I really hope I'm not going beyond my expertise, but I have read a little bit about it. And what happens here is that AI is a bit of a statistical model. It's like playing, I don't know what this game is called in English, when I say one word and you say something else. If I say bright, then you say light.
yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
if I say fire, then you
I
say
forgot.
water.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so the model
Mm-hmm.
goes through its training material, which can contain billions of conversations and books and stuff and whatnot, which is the second point, which is no AI model is complete anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no way
There's
to
still
have
a lot of data out
there's
there.
still, especially handwritten books, there's things behind paywalls. It's impossible. So it's not gonna go. And I assume that, for example, the professional associations are not very happily going to give access to their firewall for a model to read and benefit from their content, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all of this is going around at the same time, and the model hallucinates because it gets a question that, because of the training or because of the information it has available at the moment or because of something else, it 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 slips a little. It's not it just adds one word. It says whatever comes.
Yes.
And that's the
It
origin of
goes
the
to the
tool.
next one, like you say, light, sun, or, it just picks up another word. Have you ever told ChatGPT that it's wrong?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what
I
has it
mean,
replied back to you? Because I've done this recently.
what did you get?
So I had, oh, apologies. The answer is da, 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 whatever it was, whatever the question was.
I have a friend that basically dedicated one full day. He's a priest,
Okay.
and which is was the funniest use of AI I've ever seen. And he went into ChatGPT and started asking questions about his religion. And the model got them so wrong that he started correcting ChatGPT, and he got a thank you message from ChatGPT. he
Wow.
says he says
Wow.
that I haven't seen the email, but but
Yes.
but he says he got an email thanking him for his contribution. I mean, I normally don't utilize time debating with ChatGPT. If I think an answer is wrong, I simply remove it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it happens also if you use it constantly. If
Hmm.
you write, let's say you write 10 paragraphs and you check the structure of them all, then you start seeing that almost 20% of the paragraphs always have it has changed the structure to say something else.
Yes.
And especially when it's language, it
Yes.
doesn't it's not understood. So God knows where it picked this understanding that is not correct. And then when
Wow.
that happens, I just strike it. That's not correct.
Yes.
Out.
Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting, interesting. Well, I'm intrigued to see how this will really this book will really come together and inspire us and also advise us in things what we should do and what we shouldn't do.